Ladies and gentlemen, we're here with my good buddy and an incredible human being, an incredible entrepreneur, Levi Felix, the founder of the Digital Detox and Campgrounded. Thank you for being with us today.
Thank you for having me.
My man, all the way out from SF. So we're here on the Gratitude Interview, where we give people an opportunity to acknowledge the people who have had a transformative impact on their lives. So before we get into it, how do you answer the question, what do you do?
Well, it depends when someone asks me, right?
Yeah.
So if they're like, what do you do? I'll be like, well, today I'm going to play drums, I'm going to go for a walk, and I'm going to try to call my mom.
Okay.
If you're asking like what I do for a living,
yeah.
I take people away from their technology and away from their work and away from their busy lives in the effort to give them permission and perspective to maybe restructure or make changes or to question why they're doing what they're doing. So when they return, they can do it with more intention. And to be more precise, I run a thing called Digital Detox, where we take people off their technologies, and campgrounded, where we take people out to play.
Yeah. And why do you do it?
I do it because, we live in a world where the average human is spending 10 hours a day on a device.
Yeah.
And so if you're awake for 16 hours, that means more than half your waking life is staring at a screen. And so to reclaim some of that humanity, you got to pull back, you got to press pause. And a great way to celebrate community is to play and to make art and to dance and to sing and to remember what it means to feel alive. So all of a sudden 20 years go by and you're like, oh, I can't crochet now because I have arthritis, or I can't make art. But let's do it while we can, and let's just celebrate the whole thing.
I love that. So before we get into the actual gratitude interview, what advice would you give to people to evaluate their relationship with technology, with their devices, and whether or not they're happy with what it's bringing into their life?
Well, like any addiction, if you're losing friends because of it, if you're losing family, if you're forgetting about people's birthdays, or if you're late for something you've planned because you got stuck at the office working too long. If your sleep cycle's out of whack, if you're going to bed with your phone and waking up in the middle of the night checking it, and then waking up in the morning feeling exhausted, or if you're pulling your phone into your bathroom and on your device like just moments before you take a shower, those are signs that maybe something's not going right.
Yeah.
And I think when people take time, 4 days, 3 days, just to step back, they realize I reach for my device just compulsively. And so when things become compulsive, that's when it's most important that we identify that compulsion.
Totally.
Yeah, tech is amazing. Devices are incredible. The refrigerator is a form of technology. Can't live without that right now. And if we don't watch it, it's a slippery slope.
There's a great quote that reminds me of that, and it says, am I doing what I'm doing today because I want to be, or because I did it yesterday? Right? And it's like a great little lens to evaluate what it is you're doing.
Yeah.
So usually we bring this into 3 parts. So we bring it into personal, we bring it into professional, and familial. And so the first question that I want to ask you is personal. And I want to give you an opportunity to shout out one friend who has been one of the biggest factors in you being who you are as a human being. So who would you say is the friend that is one of the largest contributing factors to you being who you are?
Okay.
Who would it be?
So one of the people is my friend Kareem, who I met. He runs a guest house in Cambodia.
Yeah. And
he said to me when I visited him once, we're supposed to stay for 3 days and it turned into 10 days.
Yeah.
And I was going to leave. And we were sitting there cutting up fish, and there's chickens everywhere and cats and dogs, and we're just crouched on this wooden bench he built. And he goes, "You're fucked." And I'm like, "What do you mean?" He's like, "Well, you're going to go home and remember this moment, and it's never going to be the same." And he was right. Like, he changed my life forever. I ended up living with him for 6 months.
Yeah.
So he was like the older brother, cousin that I never had that was there to say, don't believe everything you're told. Have an amazing life.
So what would you say to Kareem? If you knew he was watching this? Yeah.
Well, can I cuss on this?
Absolutely.
I would say, Kareem, you're fucked. Because you and I together amongst a handful of other people are the only people who know that feeling. But I would I'm super grateful that you changed my life, in the way I perceive the world, and like, I wake up in the middle of the night crying sometimes because I still think I'm on the island with you and Ariane. And Brooke and I, always revert back to, well, maybe we should just go back to the island. And you've inspired all the things we do. We run Campgrounded and Digital Detox because of the time that we had with you on the island. And it's the only thing that we can bring back and engage with our communities that makes us feel like we don't have to run away again. So thanks for ruining my life, and I'm super grateful for you.
Ruining your life in the best way possible.
Yeah, it's the way we talk to each other.
I love that. Korean and Cambodia. So shifting towards the professional, if you were to acknowledge or pinpoint one mentor or figure who's been kind of like primarily responsible for either your growth or development as an entrepreneur, who would that be? Have you had like a singular mentor that really stands out?
Yeah, my first, the CEO of the company that got me into technology.
Which was who?
Ryan Scott.
What was the company?
Coscast.
Okay.
And Ryan invented double opt-in email marketing, so he's
Okay.
a pioneer in the tech world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, and so what was it that he did that was kind of like empowering or enabling for your like growth as an entrepreneur?
Say to you or the camera?
I'm just curious, like what did he bring out?
I mean, I met him at a conference randomly, and we just started talking, and I just started sharing my perspective. And he's like, cool, come to this meeting tomorrow. And I went to the meeting, he's like, don't hold back. And they were doing user experience and the branding and the audience and all this stuff. And he's like, go. And I like raise my hand and I'm like, okay, I think that's wrong and that's wrong. I think if you turn the logo like this, and really like, do you know your audience? And like, he kept being like, just keep challenging.
Yeah.
And then later that day, he pulled me out of the room and offered me a job.
Yeah.
And he taught me that just to be audacious and just to go for it, and trusted me. Just this, he just said, I trust whatever you're about to say, and I trust that you're going to make the right decisions.
Yeah.
And he gave me like full freedom for hiring, for content development, and for partnerships. And if I said I needed to go somewhere for business, no doubts.
Yeah.
Just say.
So if you were going to say something to Ryan about the impact he's had in your life, what would you say to him? That's Ryan.
Yeah. I mean, Ryan, you got me involved in understanding the world of technology and understanding the world of ethics and morality and what it means to create something with integrity. And you did it by trusting me and by just giving me kind of abundance of support. And, I was 23 years old at the time and had no idea what I was doing. Yet you just kept saying, you're awesome, keep doing it, and endless support. So you changed my life in the way that I can go gung ho at things, and I can give myself 100% to it. And yeah, without that non-challenge support and that trust, like I probably wouldn't have the audacity to speak the way I speak now, and to look at the world through a more not pessimistic, but a more realistic lens, in a time when so many people are just patting each other on the backs. And that's been a gift, to be able to kind of be the loud one in the room and not be afraid to be right or wrong.
I love that. And it's literally one of my favorite things about you, is like from the moment I met you, you could tell that there's people who have no hesitation between what they think and what they say.
It gets me in trouble.
Yeah, I'm sure it does, but it's also the best because it inspires everyone else to do that as well, and it's an incredible thing. So thank you, Ryan, for that.
Yeah.
So one thing that I know about you, and why I'm excited to get to ask this question, is I am in a partnership with a woman who I'm very in love with, and I know that you are with a woman who I have a great deal of admiration and respect for. So if you were going to share your appreciation for Brooke, why are you grateful for Brooke? What is she bringing to your life?
I mean, she's she is my balance. She's, and she gets me, and it's endlessly mutual support. And I've known her 15 years now, 16 years, and it's like, it's a homie first. It's like having my best friend all the time, who's also my fiance and I love, and it's, we can shoot the shit, and we can argue about things, we can debate about things, and we can also I think what makes her amazing is that I don't have to ever try to be anything.
So if you're gonna speak to Brooke, what would you say to her about why you love her or are grateful for her?
Come on, you gotta do this.
I gotta do it.
I thought you were gonna ask about my brother. For Brooke, why am I grateful for her and why I love her? I mean, I just saw her, so there's certain people in your life that you accidentally or cosmically kind of repeatedly think about and then end up with, and the world couldn't have commiserated more for us to end up together. And I'm grateful for you because on a day-to-day basis, you're just there for me and let me do my thing and celebrate with me and trust me, and when I'm going too fast, you pull me back and slow me down, and when I'm doubting myself, you're there to say, no, I got you, and if you don't want to keep doing this, I've got you. And we're on an epic roller coaster together, and I don't know, I think our relationship is unlike anyone else I've met in the fact that it's us, and we have this shared vision of what we want together, and there's no one else who I'd want that with. And whether it's in a company, or whether we end up in a farm somewhere, or whether we're on a beach in a small hut in Egypt, wherever we end up is home. And I think that that's fucking rad.
It is fucking rad.
I don't know. We wake up in the morning and we every couple has their thing, and when you turn over, and I don't know what's gonna come out of your mouth, but I know it's gonna be either Stein, let me hold you, or Stein, hold me, or this weird language that we have, which sounds so strange to other people. It makes so much sense to us.
I love Bruce and I had a moment at this last party where you were buzzing around the room and Mickey was buzzing around the room on the other side, and Bruce and I were just posted up at the bar, and we're just hanging, and we were let's just stay here and let them do their thing, and we'll just hang. And we saw so eye to eye in that moment of a dynamic in a relationship that was so
you guys
so
are
funny.
Super similar, and
totally.
She holds down the fort and is okay, drink some water, go back out.
Totally. Cool. So I wanna move into the familial. Not to say that Brooke is not, but I know that every one of your family members is a big part of why you are who you are. But if you were to point out one who has particularly inspired you or contributed to kind of who you are as a human being, who would it be, and what was it that they've done for you?
Well, I like, my first inclination is my mom and my brother, but then I jump to my Zadie, who's no longer with us. But I think about him as...
Who's your grandpa?
Yeah, my grandfather.
Yeah.
As the person who I want to be.
And why is that?
He was Joe the fisherman. No one ever said anything bad about him. He never said anything bad about anyone. He would never raise his voice. You drive down the streets to go wherever you are, and he would sing every stop sign. Herndon, Bullard, Houston. He would sing everything, and like we would go fishing, and he would give all his fish to people around him who didn't catch, so he could bring fish home. And,
Yeah.
you know, just a solid classic man.
Yeah.
You know, I don't think he ever raised his voice or even said a word to my grandmother. You know, he was just like proper gentleman, and that's incredible. Like, that's amazing. Like, I want to be that. I want to be him.
Yeah.
You know, I want to be happy in the simplicities that he held, and like seeing the stop signs with my grandchildren.
Did you get to tell him that before he passed away?
I mean, he passed when I was like
Younger.
14 or 15.
Yeah.
But like he had he was on dialysis at the end.
Yeah.
And he flew out from Chicago to California, and he got here, and he like hung out with all of us for a little bit, and then went to go take a nap, and then never came back.
Yeah.
And he literally just came from Chicago to home just to like say goodbye.
Yeah.
So no, I never really got to say that specifically to him, but we shared incredible experiences. Like he was the silliest, like really silly.
You got some Joe the Fisherman in you, my friend.
Oh, thank you.
Levi Felix, it is a treat. I'm grateful to know you and excited for all that you're going to bring into the world. How can people find out about you, your work? How can they get involved with Campgrounded? Where should we find you?
Yeah, so you can visit digitaldetox.org. If you want to come to summer camp, I think it's one of the best things to do in the summer.
We're going to New York.
They're going to New York. We got 2 sessions in California, 1 session in New York. We've got 2 sessions in North Carolina at the same camp where they shot Heavyweights, the movie with Ben Stiller. We got a camp in Washington.
Camp has been canceled due to lack of hustle.
Yeah, and then camp in Texas. Basically, it's summer camp for adults. No technologies, no work talk, no networking, no drugs, no alcohol. You come and you go straight back to camp. Campgrounded.org is where you can find that. And I mean, this is going to be a big year. We're taking a lot of the ethos around digital addiction and digital technology and Campgrounded to college campuses. And I'm really excited to do that too, with more academia and getting young adults to ask the questions about, do I want to live more of my life online than offline? Because if we start answering that now, you know, then videos like this and technology that we build will change the way that our grandchildren will experience the world.
The best thing about all of these is that even if you're not going in because of the mission and because of the inevitable change that will happen, they're just a shit ton of fun.
Oh.
And you will have a blast regardless of where you go. So
yeah, it's one of the only places I've been where you're given permission to just be as awesome as you can be. And like, it's like almost everyone comes in and says like, I'm going to treat you awesome, I'm going to treat you awesome.
Totally.
And everyone high fives and they pinky swears.
fuck yeah, man.
Cool. Thank you, brother.
It's been a pleasure, man. Love you.